2 years ago, these images of a plane that had turned into a fireball after landing startled the aviation community. Eyewitnesses reported that the plane had not been ablaze while in the air, and the fire only started on the ground, after what they had described as a strange landing. What happened here, and could a weird flight control problem have been the cause of this? Well, let's find out. Welcome to Airspace. On the 5th of May 2019, the crew of Aeroflot Flight 1492 was getting ready for their flight from Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport to Murmansk in northwestern Russia, close to the border with Finland. The flight was to be operated with the Sukhoi superjet 100, a Russian-built plane that is totally not copied from Airbus or anything. I mean, who would suggest that the Russians ever copied a plane? Or even a spaceship? No, that would be outrageous. Anyways, the flight was getting ready to depart in the mid-afternoon as thunderstorms were building up in the area. Nevertheless, the flight lined up with the runway and the pilots took a moment to assess the situation ahead. Dark thunderstorms were scattered in the departure area, and as if to warn them, a bright flash illuminated the sky. The captain even commented, "The flash, did you see that?" And the first officer responded with, "Yes, holy crap." Therefore, the pilots waited for a while. However, already 4 minutes later, they decided that they now wanted to depart, and the tower controller issued them with a takeoff clearance. After liftoff, the pilots followed the normal departure route, however, soon spotted a thunderstorm straight ahead and decided to turn a little earlier than prescribed by the published track in order to avoid said thunderstorm. However, their action came too late, and the plane was struck by lightning, which was commented by one of the pilots with, "Wow!" Planes get struck by lightning every day somewhere around the world. Normally, a plane can take such an electric discharge quite well, and all systems continue to function normally. This is due to the fact that the electricity passes through the hull of the plane, acting as a Faraday cage. Most of the time, a lightning strike just leaves small burn marks at the spots where the lightning entered and exited the plane. However, in the case of Aeroflot 1492, the lightning strike knocked several flight computers offline and the plane's control laws reverted to direct mode. In that mode, as the name says, the control signals from the pilot's side stick is more directly transferred to the control surfaces of the plane without being first filtered or corrected by the flight control computers. Quickly, the pilots radioed air traffic control to let them know what happened, but they could not reach them. Apparently, their primary radio had failed as well. The first officer, however, soon found out that their second radio was still operative and was able to communicate again. After a short discussion, the pilots decided to return to Moscow Sheremetyevo, and the air traffic controller provided them with directions to get there. Up to here, everything seems quite ordinary. Plane takes off, gets struck by lightning, pilots decide to return to their departure airport because the plane suffered some damage. But here, things start to get strange. During the approach back to Sheremetyevo, the thunderstorms were still battering the area with rain and gusty winds. Still, the pilots decided that it would be favorable to return to their departure airport. As they approached the runway, their systems warned them multiple times of wind shear. One cannot miss these warnings since they are loud and sound like this.
Wind shear! Wind shear! Wind shear!
One such warning even contained an instruction, "Go around, wind shear ahead." The pilots never commented on these warnings and just continued their approach. Shortly before the runway, the plane dropped by several feet, maybe due to the unfavorable wind situation, maybe due to bad piloting. Nevertheless, the captain managed to recover and guided the plane back to the runway in a manner that looked controlled. What happened next is rather peculiar. The landing was captured by an airport surveillance camera. The quality isn't the best, but usable. See for yourself and count how many touchdowns you see. Let's analyze this. If you counted 4 touchdowns like me, prepare to be corrected. The flight data recorder clearly recorded only 3 touchdowns. But let's go through the video bit by bit and discover what happened here. As the plane came in for landing, it almost touches the runway here, but the pilot flared a little too hard and the plane lifted back into the air for a second. Then it touched down hard the first time at a vertical acceleration of 2.55 g. That is classified as a very hard landing. While the plane touched down, the captain moved the control stick fully forward for some reason and kept it there. Since the plane was in direct mode, the ground spoilers did not automatically deploy. These control surfaces are mounted on top of the wing, and normally extend as soon as the wheels touch the ground in order to dump the last amount of lift that the wing is still providing. This allows for more weight on the wheels, less bounces, and more efficient braking. However, due to the hard touchdown and the absence of the ground spoilers, the plane bounced back into the air up to a height of 6 feet or 1.8 meters. During that entire time, the captain held the control stick in the fully forward position, forcing the plane's nose downwards. During the bounce, the captain also attempted to use reverse thrust, but this function is inhibited as long as the plane is in the air. But soon the plane touched down again, this time nose wheel first. Due to the fact that the captain held the side stick in the full forward position, the plane now crashed into the runway at 5.85 G. When the landing gear hit the ground, the thrust reverser doors started to open, since the sensors now sensed that the plane was on the ground. The weak links of the landing gear sheared, too. These are designed to shear when the plane touches down very hard, which allows the landing gear to detach in a specified manner instead of randomly by chance. This design philosophy tries to minimize potential damage to the aircraft in case of a very hard landing or a landing outside of a runway. It has contributed to the safety of air crashes in some cases, such as British Airways Flight 38 that crashed in Heathrow. I have a video on that too if you're interested. I'll leave a link in the description. Still, the aircraft carried some speed and bounced into the air once again, this time to a height of 15 to 18 feet or up to 5.5 meters. Here, the captain tried to go around, but since the reverser doors were already open, the plane's computers inhibited the application of thrust until the doors were fully closed. They did not fully close until the aircraft hit the runway for the third time, this time at about 5 G. The landing gear struts that had already been destroyed during the second touchdown now penetrated into the wings and perforated the fuel tanks. Hot jet fuel spilled onto the engine exhaust and the sparks from the destroyed landing gear, and the plane quickly erupted in flames. It slid down the runway and came to rest on the grass next to the runway with its nose upwind. Quickly, an evacuation through the forward doors was initiated, but the fire burned hot and fast, and help came too late for 41 of the 73 passengers. Media outlets quickly claimed that the evacuation was unduly slowed by passengers trying to take their luggage with them during the evacuation, but this was disproven. The passenger in the rear simply had no chance of survival in the heat of the flames. Still, remember to always leave your hand luggage behind should you ever have to evacuate an aircraft. It literally saves lives. But the main questions remain. Why did the captain land in such a strange manner? Why did he not go around when he was warned about wind shear? Is the plane that difficult to control in direct mode? Simulator tests done by Aeroflot showed that other pilots found it difficult to fly the plane in that mode too. They used large and uncalled for side stick motions. Is the plane's mode unsafe, or are the pilots not well trained? Unfortunately, we do not know yet. All facts that I present to you in this video today are based on an interim report, and the final report is still not finished, 2 years after the accident. From where I stand, this looks like pilot error to me. Then again, the captain was no inexperienced individual, being a former fighter pilot and first officer and captain at various airlines and aircraft types. I guess we will have to wait and see what happened. Making videos is very interesting, and I've learned so much over these last few months. But making videos is also hard work. The research takes hours, and putting the video together usually takes me another 6 to 8 hours. If you want to support this channel and help it grow, you could support me by buying me a coffee. You can support the channel with as little as $5. I'll leave a link in the description for buymeacoffee.com. I will offer subscriptions with many interesting benefits at a later point too. Please note that this is entirely voluntary and my videos will remain free to watch. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and check out my other videos on many interesting cases in aviation. See you next time!